Thank you, members of the media, for being here today. This is my press statement in reply to the Menteri Besar's remarks on my audit and freezing of my officers' community spending yesterday. I'd just like to start by saying that I'm by nature a blunt person and I speak my mind without fear or favor. I'm also very strict on issues of transparency and accountability. Now, a lot of people raise this issue, why am I doing this in public, so and so forth. I think all my documents clearly show why, so I would encourage everybody to follow up and read up all the disclosure that we've made. Yeah. Now, I would like to start also by saying that I admit that I have criticized YAB Azmin Ali before from time to time. For example, last year I didn't like his DIG plan, so I spoke out against it, and that his continuing support for PAS in Selangor is always contentious. But I also respect his position as Menteri Besar and his decision to follow up on Selangor matters. Yeah. However, in this matter of the audit done on my office and the subsequent freezing of my community spending, I am very specifically criticizing the actions and decisions of two Selangor government officers. Okay? I am of course taken back a little bit by YB Azmin Ali's personal remarks about me yesterday, that I should know better, so and so forth. But I truly have no idea why he is so sensitive and defensive on this matter. After all, it is my office that is being victimized here, not him. All I want are clear answers about the audit process and the freezing, which were carried out by two officers, specifically Encik Muhammad Rizwan bin Hassan, the State Treasurer, who is in charge of the audit, and Muhammad Hasri bin Nur Muhammad, the Chief Assistant Financial Officer of the Selangor Treasury, who instructed the freezing of my entire community spending by a mere telephone call. This is all recorded in the documents that I presented. I know that YB Azmin Ali is a busy man. He has to run the state. And he has already stated a month ago that when I first put up my first Facebook posting last month, he already stated that he did not want to interfere in the audit process. I have taken this statement at face value, but I suspect that he does not really fully comprehend the details and the nature of my complaints when he made his remarks yesterday. Now, that's my opinion. Yeah. So I would therefore like to advise first YB Azmin Ali to quickly instruct his research officers. He has a lot of research officers. Yeah. To look at all the documents relating to the audit and the subsequent freezing of my community spending. He can go to, his officers can go to my website, my Facebook, and download every single document. If they study the matter carefully, and I'm very confident about this because, if all of you as reporters, if you read the documents carefully, you'll see that there is something not right. If his officers study the matter carefully, they must surely conclude that all is not well with the practices of some officers in the Selangor Treasury. Now, no government is perfect, and I expect YB Azmin Ali to take fair criticism about his officers from a PKR colleague, study it, and then take actions to improve his administration. In particular, he must ensure that the Selangor government relook into their audit process and make changes to improve. I would also advise the Selangor government to take steps to eliminate any arbitrary or vindictive executive decisions, such as to freeze my accounts. Yeah? Now let me address the four reported statements of YAB Azmin Ali. His first statement, we don't interfere in the audit process so to uphold principle of accountability and transparency. I completely applaud him for this statement, and I totally agree with him. He should not interfere in the audit process. Number two, YB Azmin Ali was reported to have said, if the audit department wishes to audit anyone, the process must be accepted without executive or political interference. I can only agree partially on this. I agree, no executive or political interference, but I absolutely do not agree that the process of the audit as currently practiced by the Selangor government of my office, that is not proper due process audit. Number three, the third statement he made, YB Azmin Ali was reported to have said Wong Chen should have discussed the matter with the state government rather than going public on it. On this matter, I have to completely disagree with him. Recall that I have written letters from my office to the Selangor government, which went unanswered for 3 months. That is a key point. I do not understand how can I have a discussion with a government who has consistently stonewalled me. This matter is now entering its 5th month. It's already 5 months. In fact, I want to make this very clear. I actually met YAB Azmin Ali at the PKR National Congress on the 21st May 2017, before I went public. I went public, if I recall, on the 23rd, yeah? And I updated him on the situation. I said, look, you have to do something about this. Your officers are not replying to my thing. It's 3 months. And he promised me he will ask the officer in charge to give me a reply. Now, the fourth statement that Azmin Ali was reported to have made, that I have undergone the audit process, I do not view it as an issue. I'm not sure what kind of audit process YAB Azmin Ali went through. I am certain he did not go through the same audit process that my office had to endure. For a start, when asked last month by reporters, YAB Azmin Ali said that he knew about his audit. Well, that's good for him. He knew about his audit. My audit process and his audit process are clearly different, because my audit process, nobody knew about it. There was no transparency, there were no notice. So, before we go on, I'll just give a recap of what the main substantive issues are. Yeah? And for sake of clarity, let me tell you what my office had to endure. First, the audit was done mysteriously in March 2016 without notice to my office. The auditors, so-called auditors, did not visit my office, never looked at any original documents, never asked for any clarification from my officers. At all times, my office was kept in the dark that we were being audited or an audit was done, until we received the audit report 11 months later in February 2017. I don't think any auditor out there can say that this is a proper way to do things. Okay? Wow, this is the even scarier thing. While the audit was slowly being written, it took 11 months for them to write an audit. The Selangor government decided to immediately freeze my Mesra Rakyat spending on 12 July 2016. Yeah, this is key. You have to understand this. The audit is being written, they freeze my accounts first. They freeze the accounts on Mesra Rakyat. Now, if I have to explain to you Mesra Rakyat is when a member of parliament is allocated money, yeah, to throw makan-makan. You know, Hari Raya lah, Deepawali. My office do not do any Mesra Rakyat. Because we think the money that is given to us is quite limited, right? I will use this money to throw a function to honor me? Come on. Seriously. P104 Kelana Jaya do not practice this kind of thing. We rather save this money and give to the poor directly, which is what we do bulan kebajikan. So, I disagree Mesra Rakyat. The ironic thing is, they froze my Mesra Rakyat account when they complained I didn't spend enough on Mesra Rakyat. Yeah? So, but let's not get distracted on this issue. Yeah? One of the stress is this. It is an unusual practice to punish my constituents by freezing Mesra Rakyat before the government concluded their own audit report. The audit report, February 2017, they froze the Mesra Rakyat account on 12 July 2016, 8 months earlier. Yeah? It is also important to note the Selangor government, after freezing my Mesra Rakyat account, did not bother even to write a letter to me and inform me. We were blissfully in this office thinking, hey, just continue lah. It's business as usual. They freeze me and don't bother to tell me. So how am I supposed to have a discussion with the Selangor state government? How? Now, what is even more absurd and worrying is that after the audit report was finally completed in February 2017, the audit report, which you all can read, did not recommend to freeze my community spending. That is the crucial thing. The Selangor government's own finding did not recommend freezing of my community spending. Yeah? Instead, the audit report was actually cut quite mild. Yeah, my quarrel over this issue is the process, as I said. The mysterious process, never call my office, right not? Yeah? The process and the findings we found were trivial, misdirected, and some of them completely baseless. But the issue now is much bigger because the government's own audit finding did not recommend freezing, and yet the officers chose to freeze my community spending. Yeah? I stress again, nowhere does the Selangor government's own audit report recommend the freezing of my community spending, yet the Selangor government not only continued to freeze my Mesra Rakyat spending and continued to hide the fact from my office, and then on the 9th of June 2017, expanded the punishment by freezing all of my community spending. Yeah? Let me now illustrate to you what will happen if the Selangor government auditors applied the same process on YAB Azmin Ali as they have done to my office. YAB Azmin Ali will be blissfully unaware that he is being audited. The auditors will not visit his office, will not contact his officers for explanation, will not view a single original document. The audit will take 11 months to be written. While the audit is being slowly written, the Treasury will immediately freeze YAB Azmin Ali Mesra Rakyat community spending, but they will not notify him on the freeze. After the audit comes out 11 months later, assuming that YAB Azmin Ali has the same results as mine, that no serious issues were found, YAB Azmin Ali will then finally be informed of the very, very bad news that the Selangor government has decided to expand the freeze to his entire community spending without any basis whatsoever. Now, if he had suffered the same audit as me, in that scenario, I do not think YAB Azmin will be making the same remarks as he did yesterday. Instead, I'm certain he'll be calling up the two officers in charge, Encik Rezwan for the audit, Encik Hasri for freezing my accounts, and getting to the bottom of this. Hopefully, through this press conference, he understands that this is a question for the officers to reply. These questions are for the officer to justify their actions. And I hope that he will take this disclosure in fairness, in consideration that I'm a member of parliament from Selangor, and reform and tackle the substantive issues of my complaints. It is not good enough to just say, Wong Chen should respect due process, he should know better, that they are transparent and accountable. You have to do something about it. This has happened to me, a member of parliament from PKR in Selangor government who has done nothing wrong. Their own audit report says I've done nothing wrong. And yet they froze my accounts. Please, this is not a political issue. This is an administrative issues that need to be resolved. Okay? So thank you very much. I will take questions now.